So, ARMA Reforger has just launched. I've been streaming it and playing it off stream, and I'm going to give you guys my initial bad and good impressions of the game. If you want more ARMA content, subscribe to the channel because there will be streams, gameplay videos, tips, and guides coming soon. So, let's start with the bad. And straight away, there are big server issues. Most of the servers that I tried to connect to just absolutely fail. Even though there's players on them, even servers where they're empty, you just get a server failing to connect error. No idea what the issue is. From what I've found from investigating forums and stuff, it seems to be based on server configuration. But sometimes you can connect to a server and then that server may boot you out, or you get an error message and you try to connect back to it and it'll just keep failing. So no idea what the issue is there. It is a huge issue because if you want to play with friends, you might be able to connect to a server, but then your friend can't. So then you have to go try and find another server that you can both connect to and hope that the servers you can connect to actually have players playing in them, or at least have the AI enabled in them as well. It's a huge issue that needs to be sorted out ASAP. Another issue with the servers are modded servers. If you try to connect to a modded server and it fails, you'll get an error message to say that the mod failed, and then you have to restart your game if you want to do anything. If you go to the server browser after this failure message, the server browser just will not refresh. It's kind of a minor issue really, having to close the game down and restart it, but it's another annoying server issue. There's also a lack of content in the game. Yes, it's an early access release. Yes, it's sort of like a tech demo preview thing for the new ARMA 4 or whatever they're going to call it. But still, there is a lack of content. And by content, I would say vehicles, weapons, equipment, and you could argue modes. You have the Game Master mode, which I haven't tried out yet, which does look very interesting. The conflict mode, which is about taking over the entire island. And there's like a more condensed capture and hold sort of conquest style mode, which for me, this conquest mode just doesn't really work in this game. I think the main thing is the conflict island capture one. That is the last big issue for me, is how the spawning system works. And with the spawns, you can spawn in bases you've captured that you've built a support structure in, something like a motor pool. What I've seen is a lot of people won't actually build stuff when you capture locations, so your spawning areas in terms of your bases can be quite limited. But if you capture an area, build something, and then you're good. Also, you can spawn on an MCU, which is like a mobile command unit. But to be able to get an MCU, you need to be a rank of sergeant. And your rank is only calculated in that individual game. So you start as a private and then you need to work your way up. So at the moment, because of all these server issues and people getting booted out or servers just restarting, I have not seen a single MCU being used yet because people can't just get to the rank of sergeant to be able to spawn one. Another issue with the MCUs is that you can only have one MCU in your game, and if you've got to capture an entire island and you've got one mobile spawn point, then it's not good. You need multiple. But there is the radio system, and you can take a radio out from like an equipment box, put it on your back, and then you act as a mobile spawn point, which is good. That means anyone in your team, not just your squad, can spawn on you. But of course, if you die, then that radio deactivates. Someone can loot it and reactivate it. But also, you can only have 2 radios active at one point in the entire island, which gives you an incredibly small sort of list of where you can spawn. You can spawn at their bases, the MCU, if there ever is one, and the 2 radios, if those 2 people that have the radios are alive. Because if they die, you know, they deactivate. So the most efficient way to play as someone who has a radio is just to go near an enemy position and then just hide, so so you don't die, so people can spawn on you. But no one would want to do that. What the game needs to do, or what some modders need to do, is really adopt the outpost rally point system from Squad or Hell Let Loose, where a squad leader can build a spawn point for their squad, or maybe even bring in garrisons from Hell Let Loose, where you can build a spawn point for your team. For me, there is no negative to bringing this system into the game. Yes, it's not really something that ARMA has had before, but all this will mean is that people can get back into combat quicker and essentially have more combat, have more fun. There is no negatives to it. Someone needs to bring it into the game as soon as possible. Ideally, the devs need to put it in as an actual feature and not just a mod. But there is some good to the game. Graphically, it looks really nice. What you're seeing now is the default options, which aren't max, but there are a few max settings, at least for me. But then I have put up the AA setting, and it does look really nice. Of course, it's not one of these huge flashy games, but in terms of its art style, which it's a realistic art style, it does look really good. The performance seems stable. Like generally, I'm sitting around the 80 to 90 FPS mark, no matter really where I am. So you could say the game does need probably a bit more optimization to get that frame rate up, but it is a new engine, very early days, so I do expect that performance increase to come. And the sense of scale of the game, I mean, it is a massive island. The draw distance is huge, so the devs need to be praised for that. I'm pretty sure this is essentially like a remake of the first Operation Flashpoint island, but still, the sense of scale is huge and it's great. And the game does have extreme modding potential, I think. I mean, the original DayZ came from ARMA. Who knows what can be built for this? And there's the custom mission editor. So once people really get into that and build their own modes or missions, again, it's going to be awesome. And also the combat. When you do get into combat, it's really fun. The gunplay is great. Weapons are deadly. Feels a little bit tricky to use. I think when you're moving and shooting like a full auto weapon, your accuracy isn't that great, but you kind of expect that anyway. But at the moment for ARMA, I would recommend the game, with a big asterisk to say you are going to have server issues, so you could probably wait until some updates have come out. But I will be playing the game more, I will be streaming the game more, and when I'm streaming, I want to play with anyone in chat so we can get a full squad going and have a good game and cause some havoc and just try and capture loads of stuff. But as I said earlier, I would sort of recommend the game. I am enjoying it, and I am going to be playing it more, streaming it more, get some gameplay videos out, and hopefully get some like tips or guides out as well. So if you want to see that, subscribe to the channel. I hope you liked the video. Give it a like if you did, and thank you for watching.
You keep saying you got something for me, something you call love, but confess you've been a messin' where you shouldn't have been a